and
Now,
stuff like that. Oh, yay! There he
yay,
is.
yay, yay! Oh,
Outstanding. Outstanding.
thank you for being so patient with
Well,
me.
thank you
And
for keep on
it
pushing. Yeah.
it's Kathy Berardi who is my maven. You know, every one of these things should come bundled with an arrogant adolescent who can tell you how to work the thing. You know,
You
here I am. You know,
know,
I'll tell you, Hollis. I was in a department as a professor
okay.
for over 40 years,
Good.
and digital media is in the title of the department, and I can't even turn on the TV. I have to ask my wife to turn on the TV. Too many remotes, you know. I'm
Yeah.
an
Yeah.
old-fashioned kind of guy. Anyway, thanks for having me.
Thank you. And again, I want to apologize to you guys because trust me, when we started using Podbean maybe a year and a half ago, it was the first 2 or 3 months, it was brutal because Podbean was just starting to get itself out there.
Uh huh. Uh
And
huh.
a lot of the guests didn't know how to use it. So we had issues. But Podbean is doing great things though, promoting so they're promoting you and stuff like that. So
Uh
we're very
huh. Uh
happy with
huh.
them, but it can be very challenging. So thank you for being persistent. Thank you for doing what you got to do. And we love it, you being here. Before we continue, please tell us more about yourself. I mean, you're 40 years as an educator, and a little bit more about your new book, Deadpan.
Sure. Well, I was born and raised in New York, and I went to school to college upstate New York. And a man my age, with my privilege and advantage, I might have been trying to avoid the Vietnam era draft at that time. So I wanted to had to stay in school. Do I feel ashamed that I exploited my privilege? Yes, I do, but I'm not exactly haunted by it. I'm not
Right.
sleepless. The worst thing about it is that I know if I could go back and do it all over again, I would just go back and do it all over again. I'm not that courageous. I was due to continue it in back east for a further graduate education, but had some time to kill, and I came out. I drove out to California. I was going to spend 3 days here. I've decided recently I'm going to give it another 59 years, and if it still hasn't worked out for me, back to the apple, you know. I fell into film school here instead. I visited the USC Film School at that time, and at that time there was no tradition of going from the film school world into the professional community unless you wanted to be a an usher in a movie theater.
Yeah.
However, the demographic was changing. The people in the movie business were left over from the silent era,
Mm.
and it was time for a new generation. And my group was the first one of academic people, film students who would go out and own Hollywood, except for one of my classmates, George Lucas, who owns Marin County up in Northern California.
Yeah.
And suddenly there I was, surrounded by, in a really magical place. George was one among many who would become, substantially successful writers, directors, and everything else. And I found myself, I wrote a script in a class, a screenwriting class, the first script I ever wrote. The legendary Erwin R. Blacker, now long deceased, was the instructor. And I never did sell that script. However, it did get me top representation and a staff job as a writer at Universal. They still had writing staffs, and it launched a career. I stayed really, really busy over the years. Most of the movies that I wrote did not get produced. Some of them did, but I still was well paid. I mean, many, many more movies get written and paid for than actually get produced. The most expensive script still is not nearly as expensive as the production
Okay, we're trying to get Richard back. I think we lost him. He might
period.
have moved his phone.
Um,
There you go.
when when in Malibu and got invited to the faculty at UCLA, and I was not looking for work. I didn't need the money, such as it was. But I don't know. I have an old immigrant attitude about you just say
Yeah.
yes to everything.
Yeah.
You never really know what's going to happen. And here we are. I was very busy writing. When I had a low period, I wrote a book that became my first novel. And Deadpan is third novel. I have six published books.
Wow.
Three of them are screenwriting books. And by the way, they are very enormously popular in China. The Mandarin edition of my
Wow.
book, Essentials of Screenwriting, which came out 15 years ago. It's the third such book that I've written, like 1,000 copies in China. And now I've just
Oh,
for a Russian translation. It's going to be distributed there. Life is what happens while you're making other plans, John Lennon said. And that is that is the
yeah.
testimony to my experience for sure.
Richard, my question to you, because it's and congratulations to you for all the wonderful stuff you've done, but give us a little tip to other authors, because I get them all the time. How did you survive the downtime? How did you stay motivated when, like you said, some stuff gets picked up, some stuff does not? You kind of question yourself. How did Richard Walker stay motivated and say, "Hey, I know I'm good enough to do this"? How did you do it?
Well, what a great question. I don't think anybody really knows they're good enough to do this. I think they just can't really do anything else, and they decide to try this.
Yeah.
I mean, it is pretty crazy to think what we make up character and give them things to do and things to say and write it down and expect people to not only to spend 2 hours watching your movie, but to pay for the privilege of it. I mean, it's pretty nutty. And I'm always telling writers, stop being sane and stop being rational and
Yeah.
logical, and don't expect to move that way either. It's pretty wacky. Accept that it's wacky and that you are wacky. That you don't know worse things could happen to a person. Regarding sustaining it's very herky jerky.
Yeah.
The employment situation. It's not a 9 to 5, 52-week thing. And what I always tell students in terms of financing, financial advice in terms of career is, God willing, you're able to make some money. Don't spend the money.
Yeah.
Always assume it's the last one to see. And what you want to do is hang on to that money to buy the one thing that you really need, which is time. So
Mhm.
I had I was making more money than I needed, and I set it aside. And when things got slow, in terms of finances, they didn't have to get slow in terms of writing. Writers, every writer, independent business person, an entrepreneur, and every business has inventory. We're the business that just creates out of our inventory
Yeah.
as we write. That's what we need to be doing. That's the one thing we have control over completely. Nobody can stop us from writing. And so when things got slow, I decided to reach and stretch and take a break from screen work and wrote that novel. Amazingly, it did sell. The fiction market is, if published fiction is even cruel than the screenplay market. But if you don't enter it, you'll certainly never. You may enter it and never get anywhere, but
Right.
you'll certainly never get anywhere if you don't enter it.
Right.
And sure enough, I sold that book. There was a movie deal that didn't get made. I got the money for the rights. I also was hired to write the adaptation. And the fact of the matter is that I had written, though I'm not credited. I was well paid for what I did. I wrote the first two drafts of American Beauty.
Mm.
George, little classmate, hired me to do that. And even though I didn't get my name on the movie, there's nothing unusual about a lot of writers being hired being paid for their services writing a film, and not all of them getting credit. But I became sort of, for a while, it seemed like the go-to guy for adolescent coming of age stories. like American, and